Most people think that next year will be defined by what they set out to achieve. So this means new goals and it means new habits and new plans. They're wrong. Next year is going to be defined by what you're finally ready and have the courage to say no to. If effort was the answer, if your amount of goal setting was the answer, you'd already be where you want to be. And if working harder somehow fixed it, you wouldn't feel stretched or scattered or quietly resentful of the amount of time you put into your business and growing it. The truth is that most entrepreneurs are stuck because they are afraid to let go or having difficulty letting go or saying no to things that they have currently done that have dictated their growth to this place in their current business and their personal lives. Once you get a taste of success, you tend to double down really aggressively on what made you successful. And that might be what is keeping you small. Entrepreneurs, me, my friends, my peers, our clients, say yes to opportunities that drain them after a while. We say yes to being needed. We say yes to decisions that really shouldn't require or demand your attention. We say yes to calendars they don't control and to roles that we've outgrown. And every yes quietly steals from the future that you say you want. In my opinion, growth doesn't come from adding more. It comes from subtracting what doesn't fit anymore, taking away what no longer belongs. Today's episode is not about goal setting. Going into 2026, everyone's having conversations about goals and sitting down to build your roadmap. Today, though, is about a different kind of courage. It's about courage to release the familiar, courage to disappoint people, courage to stop protecting an old version of success, and the courage to say no deliberately and frequently going into the new year. Next year will not be built on what you chase. It's going to be built on what you finally put down. Here to have this conversation with me, I've got our integrator, Marty, and I want you to take some time today, instead of the rapid movement that happens at the end of the year, where you're trying to target and strategize. I want you to really pay attention to this dialogue about what has to go. It's time to start making some cuts. Marty, this conversation about saying no, it's not the first time we've talked about saying no, but I think going into the end of the year, we kind of build a yes list. We don't build a no list. And I think it's really important that you and I talk about building a no list and getting ready for this new year with a different mentality, a bit of an anti-goal mentality.
That's the antithesis of goal setting.
It is, yeah.
As I was listening to you speak there, I thought to myself, this month, we're taping this middle of December. This month is all about saying yes. Overconsumption, about gifts, about everything is centered around saying yes and kind of adding more and more and more. And so to flip a switch come January 1st to what am I saying no to can feel like a jolt to the system.
Yeah. I find it funny you said taping. Jokes aside, I agree.
I'm 53 years old, and
you know,
can still see the old tape recorder.
I remember winding back cassette tapes. I was there too
with a pencil.
I'm a millennial. I'm an analog kid. The piece that I feel has changed a lot is what has to happen before you set goals. And I'm not advocating that you don't set goals. I just think people miss a fundamental step. And by sitting down and looking at what are you prepared to say no to, we've got a list of things that entrepreneurs need to say no to. So if you're listening, we're going to get to real crunchy things for you. But I think I can say this with much more than I think. I can tell you that the biggest shift in my goal setting process has been identifying what I'm saying no to, because the things that I set goals for are so that I don't have to have them, right? I set these goals and milestones so that I effectively don't have something. I don't have meetings on Monday. So I set goals to structure bigger, or we want to grow so that I don't have to manage the social media, or I want to make more so that we can hire someone to run the events for us. But those kinds of things happen. It just requires us to pause long enough to actually get clear on what the no is.
Yeah, do you think we do that because goals are more often than not what we'll hear come January 1st? Goals are about achieving something. So it's attached to something I want, I guess, in some
Yes,
ways,
positive.
without ever recognizing that there is another side to that.
Yeah, the purpose of a goal, in my opinion, is to move you towards a destination, towards a vision, and it's the milestone on the way there. Uh, in order to get to a goal, I have to leave where I am in movement towards it. So I'm effectively I'm saying no to something, and where I've gotten steered astray is I didn't calculate for the cost of chasing the goal. So I didn't start with what I'm prepared to say no to or what I'm letting go of. And I just started moving, and then it was sort of an inadvertent mistake because I didn't pay attention.
I I'm not gonna tell you this is a cold hard truth I have to come back to regularly myself throughout the year, and I wrote it down here because it's always a good reminder to me. Is if it's all about saying yes to all these different things, I am still saying no, and more often that I'm saying no to myself in the process. And it is a cold hard truth I have to remind myself of quite regularly that I could say yes to everyone else's stuff, but is it still saying yes to me, or am I saying no to myself in the process?
Well, let's make that crunchy, because I think the yes to everything and no to myself can feel like, well, then how as an entrepreneur, how do I say yes to myself? I've got the responsibilities of the business. I've got to make sure everybody gets paid. I got to make sure everybody is feeling good about the new goals. Like there can be a lot in that, but when we make it wider, then self can feel really small. So when you say that, what does it mean to say yes to you, where you've got a team, you've got other people that you've got to consider?
Yeah, I don't think that's a no to me though. That is I am a part of that. That is a part of who I am, my responsibility. So I don't see that necessarily as saying a no to myself. That is a yes to myself because that comes with my role. It's more so if I'm essentially if I just said yes to you about everything, that hurts both of us in the long run,
Mhm.
really.
Yeah.
So there has to be some kind of push and pull. And so the no is necessary there to create that tension in some ways. So I don't think it might not be as clear cut. It's just something I try to make myself mindful of throughout the year.
Yeah. Well, what I hear in that is the I'm saying no to me is almost I'm saying no to my intuition. I'm saying no to
Correct.
strategy.
Correct.
I'm
Correct.
saying
Not
no
trusting
to
myself, all
yeah,
those things.
yeah, yeah,
Correct. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So there's a piece of saying no that we're going to review where I think everyone listening will have at least a small set of things that they need to deliberately choose to say no to going into the year. I also think there's a way to say no to things that go against our intuition and go against what is best for the organization and best for growth and best for strategy and all those things. So it's good to keep that in mind. Why do you think entrepreneurs, ambitious people, struggle to say no?
Because I think that I'm learning this just working with some of our clients. I think at the beginning you have to say yes a lot. You just do. And I think we think that's what we have to continue to do. It just becomes a habit, I think, more than anything. And it just because it got you here doesn't mean it's going to get you to the next level. So I think it just becomes a habit. I think you have to do it at the beginning. We all do it at the beginning. Even if we're in a job, we do that at the beginning. It's not until time passes where we begin to really discern, is that right? Is that what my gut's telling me? And to start listening to ourselves more. I think it becomes a habit.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of truth in that. When you start a business, you have to go through a yes phase, and then you got to go through a no phase. And if
Right.
you haven't
Correct.
hit the no phase yet, it might be time.
Right. Right. It's coming.
So let's dig into a couple of these nitty gritties that people should be paying attention to going into the reset of a year. I'm a big believer that like the vision goes on. You don't get a fresh clock. We think we do. We sort of pretend like we do, but it's not a fresh clock. We want persistence through the year, but it is a good time for reflection. It's a good time to install some new things, and it can be sort of this quarterly pause or end of year pause.
I think we have an exercise for that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, actually, yeah, this is a good time to promo that. Hey, if you're listening and you want a framework to do an end of year reflection, which will tie in tandem with what we're talking about today, send me a note on Instagram. Just send me the word end of year, EOY, or you can say reflection. Send me a note, and I will email it to you personally. I want you to have it. It's one of our best tools. We make clients go through it. I'm assigning it to every client that we have right now to like stop, pause, and use it. And it's a full framework to extract all the meat out of the end of the year. So if you want it, let me know. Let's dig into what people need to be saying no to. I'll start by just saying this. I think one of the most powerful places to say no is in low level revenue opportunities, because one of the things we say yes to, and one of the things that creates the most lift in organizations when we're first starting, is like any revenue is good revenue. But if you're at a place where you're starting to grow and teams starting to grow and those things are happening, just because it pays does not mean it belongs. And it's really important to look at your financials and figure out where are there revenue opportunities that are actually costing you more than you're getting. And on the balance sheet, it might look good to have an extra 10, 20, 50, $100,000, but it might actually be costing you way more than that to operate them, to maintain them, and to sell them.
And they're easy to say yes to.
So easy because you've always done them.
Yeah, and I think part of that too is, and you know this from our own experience, there's highs and lows in every business as it goes, as time goes on. And when you're at those low points, it becomes extremely easy to say yes to
Mhm.
anything at that level because I start to panic. That's when the scarcity starts to happen.
Yep.
So it's very easy to say yes in those moments to the low leverage, and then you're stuck with it.
Yep.
It's hard to get out of it.
Yeah. There's a whole world of conversation around this. When when I think back historically, I've made a lot of compromises because we hit a low point or we didn't want to say no, right? We didn't want to let go of old programs. We didn't want to let go of old revenue styles or even old business models. And if a revenue activity is not moving the needle or building the future, it doesn't fit, and it's really hard to say and acknowledge until you step back. But it could be a distraction, not actually a victory. So I think that's a good place to start for everybody. Like, look at your lowest, maybe it's lowest revenue, but it might be your lowest level, might be your lowest subscription. Just look at your lowest revenue driving activity in whatever format you have and see if it's worth keeping. See if there are old clients that are causing more problems and pain than they are worth it, and do a real assessment of whether or not you cut something. I think that's an important way to do it. You and I have cut many different programs over the years, many different ideas, right? We like soft launch them, got rid of it
Yeah,
because we know.
or said no to an old version of it and just and grew the version.
Yeah, in order, I think to your point, I think a great place to start is if you look at your lowest item. I can think back to some of our retreats. What wasn't working, it wasn't that the retreat wasn't working or enjoyable. It was that they were actually very successful, but financially they were break even at best. And what we had to do was say, not this way. So we didn't say no to retreats. We said, not this way. We're not going to do them this way. We're not going to do them at this price point anymore. So that might be one example for somebody.
Yeah, yeah, using that as an example, I think of the amount of energy they used to take. Not that they don't take a lot of energy now, it's just different energy. So
Yeah.
it isn't even just a financial thing. There's also a time and an energy component to it.
Indeed, there's a lot that goes into that, especially if you're managing, clients or multiple clients at a low number. I talked to somebody yesterday that had a $100 a month offer, and I was like, "Bro, that's got to go. Like, that's too little. My goodness, like, You need 100 people to make a dent in anything.
Correct.
So
I was trying to think of a book that I've shared the book with many people about that same topic. It is so easy to think, it, well, I'll just serve 100 people at $100. You will burn yourself out really quick
it takes so
versus
much work.
10 at whatever that price point
Yeah,
is.
go 10 at 1,000. Way
Yeah,
easier.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
way less problems as well.
The Prosperous Coach, that was the name of the book. I've shared that book
Nice.
with a number of people, which spells out that whole idea.
Yeah, it's a great book. Been a big part of our philosophy as we've grown. Here's another one that you got to say no to, and I'm going to push this one really hard. You got to say no to open calendars. If you are a CEO, we've covered this. CEO, executive, entrepreneur, business owner, you've got to have 4 events on the calendar. You've got to have key people time for your key internal team members. Might be your integrator, might be your middle management, might be your general contractors, whoever it is that is really important to keep the business afloat. You got to have meetings with them. You've got to have networking time where you're out and about meeting people. That can mean a lot of different things to people based on your industry, but you got to go meet, shake hands, do all that. That's where sales come from, sort of biz dev. You've got to have thinking time on your calendar, blocks where you are working on the business, strategizing, looking ahead, all those things. Keeps you out of scarcity to do that as well. And then number 4, you got to have self-care time. And I would recommend that all 4 of those things go on your calendar for next year. Start blocking now. But also, one thing you have to get rid of is just an open calendar where anybody can book it. If you use a booking software like Calendly, now is a really good time to go into your Calendly and look at your calendar settings for the event invite that you're sending to everybody, or that's available publicly, or that your whole team can get internally, and start blocking and tackling for when you're actually available. If you're not a morning person, block the morning. If you have an afternoon slump, block the afternoon slump. But now's a good time to recognize that you might have to say no to everybody having access to you and start getting out of this idea that everything is urgent and everything's a fire and everybody needs you to do it. Marty, what's your take on this?
Well, I have 2 points. One, because you and I had this conversation, I don't know, probably 2 years ago for myself, because mine was open. So I'd have a call, then I have to stop and then restart and then stop and restart and stop and restart. And it became difficult to get anything done because I was always stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. It was like being in rush hour. And so that for me has helped tremendously. I also know when my brain is functioning at its best, and so I work around that. So I think the more you know yourself, the easier it becomes to say this is the time that I will block. The other thing I thought of when you started, I mean, my background is working with people, and people always want your time. And one thing I had to learn in my previous life was I would make the time, but I had to have the boundary when it was over. And I think that is often an important piece to it as well. In my head, at least, I know 60 minutes, it's done. Even if the calendar might say something else. And I had to learn to do that, which ties back to saying no there as well. Like it's done. I have to move on to the next thing. You learn how to wrap things up and move on. But I think that's a really important piece to it as well. Even if you have it on the calendar, you need to know when it ends.
Yeah, this could be a great time to say no to agendaless meetings. It could be a really, especially depending on the width of your team, could be a really good time to say no to commiserating or discussion over decision making. Right? Some meetings can be emails. Right? You don't need to spend a whole half hour figuring it out. It also could be a really good time to look at your method of leadership and saying, look, I'm not going to make decisions for somebody. I'm going to give my team the ability to make the choice and stop hiding through the lens of like, well, I've got to control everything. So there's a lot of wisdom in not being as available next year.
Yeah, I mean, even when I had like an office type job, my previous life, I had to set office hours. So even if the staff had questions, they could only come at that
Here's
time.
the window.
Otherwise, everything becomes urgent.
Yep.
And they need an answer now. And
Yep.
That's just not the case. Unless it's burning down, you really don't. It's not urgent.
It's not helpful for anybody. And quickly, what will happen if you keep an open calendar, you will lose the ability to work on your priorities and your job as a leader. So you stop doing your job.
That'll be saying no to you.
Yeah.
That's an
Yes.
example.
Great example. Yeah, great. So your priorities get said no to so you can help somebody do something they should do on their own. Uh, I've said this sort of jokingly to many clients, but there's some truth in it. If you baby your team, you'll get babies, and you'll manage babies, and you'll employ babies, and you really have to be diligent about. Look, you can make this choice without me. We do not need to meet on this. I trust your judgment. Go, and you get back 60 minutes of your time, 45 minutes of your time for something that took 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, there is definitely a push and pull. As someone who works essentially in middle management, there's a push and pull there because sometimes people just need to talk things through. It's understanding the person you're working with as well.
For sure.
Uh, they don't always want the answer, but sometimes they do need to talk things through. So there's a push and pull to some of that.
Yeah, and ultimately, what we're advocating for here is block your calendar, and
Correct.
then you
Correct.
might have to learn as a leader. Does this person need a decision, or do they need some venting? But if your calendar is open, you're screwed. I think you're totally screwed.
Yeah. Say no to fixing everyone's problems.
Yep. Third thing that you say no to right now, whatever your aspirations are, maybe as you reflect in this year, you can get a sense of what you want to chase this coming year. One thing you could say no to is this must be ready mindset about whatever you're launching. And what I see the pattern, I see this pretty often. What we're masking is fear and this like need for control. And what we think it looks like is, well, we want to have high standards. What it ends up doing though is stopping progress on something and halting the ability to try something new for your business. And I think it's important that we are not perfectionistic, that we are saying no to it's got to be right, it's got to be done perfect, we've got to be ready and go. And visionaries and leaders, entrepreneurs have a responsibility in the business, in my opinion and in my experience, to do things that force the organization to evolve. That you have to be pushing the envelope. You're the tip of the spear, so you have to be like puncturing through walls. You're not going to be ready. And there's probably a good amount of you listening, maybe you right there where you are, that you had an objective this year and maybe you have enough to go, but you've been waiting to feel ready. You've been waiting to feel like you could control every single piece of it. And going into this new year, it's important to build a cadence of we're going to do it and then we're going to figure out how to make it perfect or better as we go rather than trying to hold on for the right time. Marty, take on that.
Yeah, guilty. I think back to a retreat we did a couple years ago. Um, the person who needed to have all her ducks in a row
Mm-hmm.
is essentially that person. I don't.
Yep.
Maybe she's listening. I'll have to message her. Uh, to have all our ducks in a row, and I'm just as guilty. I think it's a fear of. I don't know if it's always control as much as it is just fear of taking a step or a failure. I don't always know. But certainly have been guilty of it myself in my life.
Same.
It's
The
not the right time, not
Not the right time,
ready.
the
Yeah.
market. Yeah. It's just conditions, right? And we talked about on an episode about conditional avoidance. Like, I'm going to defer what is meaningful or important for the right conditions. And once the conditions are met, then I'll go. But largely, we don't have control over those conditions. And then we just defer and we defer and we defer. I mean, this is why people set goals every year. They set resolutions every year and then they end up back in the same loop because there's conditions that we're waiting for to say we're ready. We just got to go all in.
Yeah, I had someone tell me recently, similar to this, about being ready. He said, "Have you ever done this before? Have you ever taken a step like that before?" And I had said, "Yeah, when I was in ministry, I've had to do this." He's like, "It's all the second time is never as bad as the first time. So just
Mm.
do what you need to do."
Yep.
Uh, so I think once you do it once, it's also not as hard the next time.
Love, here's another one that comes to mind. It is really important for visionaries to think about this. If you have a vision of your business and your future, you have got to say no to being the hero. You've got to say no to being the fixer. And what the common conversation seems to be around visionaries is that visionaries build this vision and they just live a great life. And there's actually a lot of work that goes into being a visionary. You are responsible for steering the ship. You're responsible for culture. You're responsible for the face and the look and the brand that you're building. You are not responsible for fixing everything. And it's important to install the right people. So maybe you've got to say no to the DIY mentality along the way too. But if you think that you can be the hero and be the fixer, I can tell you what'll happen. You will force yourself to be needed. You'll force yourself to be like the key man. And then eventually you're going to get frustrated because everyone's coming to you to make the decision or fix it, that you won't get your stuff done. You won't be doing the things that a visionary needs to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, I said that once already. You have to stop being the fixer. I also, and not everyone would agree with me. I don't think everyone wants. If you get the person, your team, to slow down enough, they don't always want you to fix it. You can help them through the process of coming to a solution themselves.
Hmm.
It takes a little bit of time, but it empowers them. It frees you at the same time. And I've seen this with clients where that person's gone, you, the leader, are gone, and no one knows what to do
Yep.
because that person has done everything. That you are a ineffective leader at that point.
Yep.
If you put yourself in a position like that, and again, I've been there. I've been guilty of it as well. Certainly, when it's new, if the business is new, it is very easy to be that person.
Yeah. Well, here's an edge of that goes back to the one we just formally said about uh, trying to be ready. I think delegation is a key in anybody achieving anything, and building a team and having a really strong set of individuals backing a visionary. And and in the process of like delegating, we often think, well, it has to be like I have to give this beautiful SOP or beautiful thing to somebody that outlines all of what I want or what needs to be done. And we've made SOPs and processes, I think, structurally difficult for the visionary to build, right? Because again, the expectation is that it's like a polished thing. Building an SOP can be just as unperfect as anything else. Record yourself doing it, and then that's it. Just let somebody else build the official SOP or let somebody else write it, but just record it. And if you are stuck being the fixer, that's something you got to say no to. One way to do that is to do the unclean, the imperfect route of record what you're doing and pass it on, and don't touch it again. Don't be the fixer. You can certainly coach, you can help somebody, but don't rescue them. And the one of the biggest growth plates that I learned from coaching girls soccer professionally was that I am not on the field, so I can't correct an action on the field. Right? I can't fix it on the field. I'm just on the outside. And the game of soccer is so fluid that there's not a lot of time to it's not like football where like, all right, we're gonna run a new play. You're just kind of moving. And what it meant was that I had to be really deliberate about empowering the girls to do it their way and be prepared on the field, not to be able to like fix it myself. And I think to bring that to business, I'd much rather coach somebody that did something and did it, even if they did it wrong, at least they did it. And now we can go in and improve it, but I'm not going to be the one to fix it for you. I'm going to coach you on it, not fix it.
Yeah, I mean, I've had to learn to write things out for VAs are are a big help, and I don't always know if I have all the the instructions to do something right. I'm doing it based on what I think, what I believe has worked. But until it's tried, I don't necessarily know if it's true. Then they can come back and say, I think there's a step missing here. But I don't know that until I do it and let someone else
You
try
can't.
it.
Yeah, it's important to just do it.
Yeah. It's taken the time to sit down and write it out or speak it out, whatever works. And I think maybe I'm guilty of it. It's easy to say I don't have the time to do it. It doesn't take that long, really.
Doesn't take that long. Here's the next one on the list. One important thing to say no to going into 2026 is your approval mechanisms. So if you are the guy or the woman that has to approve things, man, something to take off your list right away. Leadership is not about making decisions. It's really about designing who does and who can and who should. We're in the process of siphoning, a lot of different decisions out to members of our team. And in the process of that, you want to get them established. You want to get them going. You want to kind of train them how to make the choice. But eventually, you can't build the approval process to you because then it all comes back to you. And eventually, you'll be the bottleneck and probably frustrated like you were at some point this year. So I think it's critical to really look at, where do you have to give approval and can you get that off your desk, get that off of your to-do list, get that off of your responsibility set.
And I had a thought and I lost my lost my thought.
Well, I approve that.
Well, I'm losing my mind.
Nice. Well, look, I think we could probably circle back to this in this way. Marty, part of what has made you and I a good combo, a visionary integrator, is that there are certain things that you say, look, hey, can we talk about this? I need a green light on this. There are certain things I come to you and I'm like, hey, I need a green light on this. But for the most part, you and I are running independent and we have enough clarity in our roles to know, like, I don't touch that. You make your choice. You don't need approval for it. And some of that has grown over time. What things do you think most entrepreneurs are not giving to their integrator so they don't have to be approval monsters? Or could an entrepreneur give to an integrator more often?
I don't know if I have an easy answer to that because what I was thinking was, well, what has made it work? I think there so much work has been done on the back end and up front as the business was starting that it it created a trust, which I think is key to the whole thing anyway.
Mhm.
That just has allowed it to evolve the way it has evolved. And so I think if it's about saying yes to something, in this case, it's that relationship and what are you doing to make it work so that that trust can be forged? Because once the trust is forged, I the delegation and the ability of both people to do what they need to do, I think becomes easier.
Yeah.
It just requires a lot of work on the upfront when you're beginning. But I think that's any relationship.
And the number one and the number two of the business have the most important relationship. If you are struggling with your number two to get role clarity, certainty, and who's doing what, responsibilities, reporting, what the vision is, we've got a great program called Synergy you may want to look into because we've boiled that down into a formula for number one and number twos to get together over a 2-day immersive experience to get you clear on that. So we figured it out, Marty and I, and we help you figure it out if you need it. Marty, let's go to another one. I think a great place for entrepreneurs to pay attention to this year is out of work responsibilities to say no to. Things like cutting the lawn, things like grocery shopping. These are small things, but you can actually absorb a lot of time in some of these, out of business hours, or it really isn't about out of business hours, but out of business responsibilities. And now you can delegate this and get it off your plate really aggressively. And I think entrepreneurs would be wise to really look at what is something that I have to keep doing, right? It's like recurring that I don't want to do anymore.
Yeah, that I don't like. Aren't you going to talk about grocery shopping? Because I feel
I
like
hate
that's
grocery
your
shopping.
that's your like go-to story
It is, and I
every
hate it, bro. I
every
hate grocery
every
shopping.
time we speak about it. I like going to the grocery store
All you,
and
man.
wandering and checking things out, and
Well, this is sort of the underpinning argument, right? It charges you up, so keep it. It doesn't charge me up, so don't keep it, right? And you could do the same for like cutting the grass. I mean, for some people that might be their happy place. Turn on the machine, put on some music, and just walk. But for me, it drains me.
I've been at my brother's house, and it snowed on Sunday, and my sister-in-law isn't a fan of shoveling snow. I'm like, well, good for you. I'm here because I love shoveling snow. She let me go do my thing.
Let me know in the comments how you like my snow shoveling soundtrack.
There's something meditative about it, I think.
Yeah, yeah, it's exercise. Uh, you got you got to be sure to the handle goes in your left hand, hold the hilt with your right hand, then you got to switch it so you work both sides of your
Correct.
back.
Correct.
That's the
If you
trick.
working your obliques, you need to do both sides, not
Yeah,
just
you
one.
got it. Yeah, then you just look like a weird zombie guy or something. uh, so
Why is your left side so built?
right, you look so strong only on the left side. Uh, the the things that come to mind here are perhaps very mundane, but 5 minutes a day can add up to a lot over the course of a year. So it's great timing to audit what really grinds you up. And you can do this in your business too. I just think that outside of the business actually yields more faster. Because in your business, it takes, there's a machine that you're building with a lot of people. Outside of your business, it's you and only you, and you can delegate something really fast. Let's take cleaning or laundry, for example. Maybe a laundry service doesn't make sense all the time, but maybe, once a month they come in and do everything and fold it for you and it's all good. Another one might be uh, meal prep. So you could have meal prep done once a week where you get 10 meals and it lasts you 2 to 3 weeks and it's all good. That's another one. I think yeah,
And there are so many services that do
that's what I
that.
mean. There's so many. It's become commoditized.
That is one I have done because I don't want to think about what I have to cook all the time. I go off and on that, but that is definitely one that I have used.
It's valuable because cooking isn't about the cooking. Cooking is about the prep and the buying, and then it just takes a lot. So you can keep that for the Friday night, for the Saturday, and then the rest of it can be done for you.
That is one particular one that there have been plenty of studies done because I've exhausted my ability to make a decision, and if I'm just making a decision to make dinner at 4 or 5 o'clock, I will not eat healthy.
Right.
That's been studied over and over again.
Agreed. Another one is cleaning. There's day-to-day cleaning here at the house that I certainly do myself. I like to keep a clean, organized space. There's also like a deep cleaning that you could do twice a year that you can offload, or and as you switch seasons. There's even people that decorate the home will come in and switch it 4 times a year for the different seasons. Lots of different things.
Or hang your Christmas lights.
Or hang your Christmas lights. Uh, other areas that come to mind. I'm a dad, so there's groups that you can lean on for activities for kids or things to do. There's groups that you can join, communities you can join for ideas. There's masterminds that you can join that will help you with your business, but ultimately finding a way to short circuit the whole of the endeavor. So if you are lacking friends, or you're feeling like you don't have enough, you know, connections and relationships, outsource it. It sounds crazy, but maybe you don't have 6 weeknights to go out and meet friends. And maybe the way that you meet friends, you can't imagine it being line dancing or a Spanish class. It's important to make sure you build these things. So there's a lot of your day to day that you can outsource. We've listed a couple of them here. I would go through the week before Christmas, the week after Christmas is great to figure out what has to get done at home because you're typically at home more. So that's a great place to figure out where your delegation lies.
Just one, I'd add one caveat to it. If you are married, you have the conversation with your spouse. Don't just do it.
Good call. Okay, then here's one more area to say no to. This requires a little bit of context. More often than not, most clients come in because they are stuck. They're in some sort of transition. They want to play bigger and they recognize they're playing small, but aren't moving in that direction. Most of the time, they're not clear. And our job is to create clarity. That's what we sell. At a core, what I find is happening, it takes time for us to get here in our program, but our methodology is really sound about exposing this. The core of the problem is I'm saying no to working on my vision. And the reason that it's uncomfortable is because it's not done. It is, you can go sell the thing that you always sold. And now when you have to sit down and work on a puzzle, it doesn't feel fulfilling. So a lot of people are saying no to their big vision. And in order to say yes to your vision, you have to say no to something in your operation today. So normally what that happens to be is a very familiar place with existing clients. I'd say out of 25 clients, probably 20 of them, the CEO has been the main point of contact for clients. And that's normal when you grow your business, like you're sort of the face, that's okay. But if you're the main point of contact, you also are constantly going to be drawn into different conversations that may not need you. It takes time. Marty and I have been working on this. It takes time to re-engineer that. But a great thing to say no to as you go into this year is being the point of contact for clients. It almost requires you to rewrite a lot of the protocols that you have. So to make it easy for you, here's a script that you can steal in doing that. So we give this to every CEO. I do it in usually like the second half of the program. I tell them to use this script. This is yours. Take it, use it as soon as possible. When somebody calls, wherever the contact is, email, text, Instagram, whatever, say this. I'm happy to meet with you or to solve your problem. It's going to take me a couple days to get back to you. If you'd like this problem solved earlier, if you'd like to speak to someone earlier, I'm going to connect you with blankety blank. Kevin, Dave, Tom, whatever. The longer you make that delay, the faster and higher likelihood they're going to talk to somebody else. So if I said, somebody called us and said, hey, Aaron, I got a major problem. Can you help? And I said, look, it's probably going to be 7 days before I can get on the calendar with you. Like it's a little bit crazy this end of year. But if you'd like, I can connect you with Marty. He's got everything that you need to get this question answered, and he could probably answer you today. The likelihood that they're going to meet Marty is very, very high. So borrow that, steal that, use it. But let's get you out of being the main point of contact for clients. Your life will be made so much better. Yes and yes.
Yeah, the other piece of that, so this is the way it works. When both of us are in a situation, in a meeting, on call, whatever that is, it's me that says it. If you want a quicker answer, then get in touch with me and I'll take care of it for you. It will not happen if you go to Aaron.
Yep. It's funny to watch people react to that. I actually think it does something really good psychologically, right? It sort of presupposes that I'm really flipping busy and we've got a team in place that can help, but he's not going to be able to help you. He's busy. So I think it's good all the way around. It's a tactic that, has a lot of truth behind it, but also very effective.
It essentially frees them up to do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. They can talk to anybody. If you build your team correctly.
Oh, why don't I tell people, well, speak to this person?
Yep. Yeah. If you've built your team correctly, that's a no-brainer. One thing that I've noticed going to good, well-run, well-managed bars and restaurants is how
I like the caveat of
a lot of details there.
Description.
But is what I notice is how well they respond to me asking someone other than the waiter, waitress, host, hostess for something. And if the team rallies and handles it smoothly, I know that they're managed really well, because many teams will just be like, yeah, I'll tell your waiter to come back by, or I'll send so and so back. And really good teams pick up each other's slack and help each other through the end line.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder, because I've been to those places with you, how they make it work. Because there also has to be communication among that team
Yep.
as to what's going on. But if someone's walking by, the whole culture is that person needs something right now. I'll take care of it, even
Yeah.
though I'm not the one serving them.
Yeah. That's what we noticed about the Fox Concept Group restaurants. Like, they did a great job of that.
Yep.
Okay.
And don't even think twice. Like, it just happens.
Yeah. It isn't a pull away from their norm. That is their norm.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Main point of today, main thing I want you to really focus on between now and the end of the year. I want you to spend some time going over your no list. What are you no longer going to do? What are you opting out of? What are you unsubscribing from? What are you going to ignore? Who are you going to maybe dislodge from? What can you cease operating under? It's so important this time of year to reflect back and start cutting. And the way to look for it is to try to find your pains. Like, what pained you this year? Cut that, rather than try to make your life glorifyingly better. Just cut the pains. And if that's like, oh man, I hate Monday meetings. Cool. Then make Monday meetings one of the things you say no to. If you're tired of working out by yourself, great. Say no to working out by yourself. Sign up for some fitness classes and get your ass to class. If you are sick and tired of working from home and being alone all the time, great. Say no to working from home 5 days a week, right? That you can engineer a beautiful life by recognizing where your pains are signaling that there's a need for change. Change often starts with the letters N-O. Marty, final thoughts on saying no to create space for yeses.
Yeah, I've thought this many times. We as Americans, it is built in our system where we get to stop twice a year. It's this time, Christmas, and the other one is midway through the year, like around 4th of July. We have two holidays built in that are designed, maybe not designed, but it happens, where people just slow down and kind of check out of the norm. And so I think it's just always a good time to kind of pause and reflect and let yourself catch up with yourself and recognize again where you're going, where I am and where I'm going.
Yeah. So it's tougher than it seems, but as we just kind of mentioned, next year is not going to be defined by what you drive towards. It's not going to be defined by what goals you set. It's not going to be defined by your ambition. It's going to be defined by things you omit, things you say no to, and things you don't tolerate anymore. And it takes tremendous courage to block these things out and say no. And you may make some people uncomfortable. You may pass responsibility and delegate it down. You may disrupt clients. You may disrupt biz flow. That's okay. That's part of what growth looks like. And saying no is going to force you to evolve really fast. So I hope you take it on with a degree of intentionality and also with a degree of bravery, because it does require bravery to grow. And as we've said multiple times on this podcast, I know almost every one of my friends, because I'm in a circle of entrepreneurs all the time. Almost every one of my friends would say unrelentingly yes to growth. Not all of them would say yes to change. You can't have growth and avoid change. That's a big part of why this podcast is here. It's a big reason why we set this up for you, so you can get a lot of the wisdom that we talk about on calls with clients from a high level. Marty, I hope you have an amazing remainder of the year. I hope you get to think about, you're saying no, I'm going to think about it, and then let's come together and let's model what we're talking about here, so we have a strong set of, like, a no list going into 2026. I'm excited to have that conversation on Monday with you. And if you're tuned in, we appreciate you being here. I hope you have a great remainder of your year, a great holiday season, and that you are deliberate about your end of year reflection. If you want that tool, send me a note on Instagram or Facebook. I will send you the tool. if we can serve you in your pursuit of vision, getting clear, getting strategized. We've got some great programs launching and a retreat coming up in March that I'm just going to touch on here really quickly. If you're one of 10 elite entrepreneurs that we have at this event, I can promise you it's going to be a business changing, life changing experience down in Cabo, March 12th, March 13th to the 15th. If you want information about it, feel free to send me a note. We'll be sending info out about it and publicly announcing it sometime in January.
It's a great time for all the winter folks to come to
Yeah.
Cabo.
Yeah. If you ain't in warm weather like the smart people, then it's a good time to get to Cabo. That's why we love Arizona. I'm kidding. Wherever you are, enjoy your season. But Cabo in March, that's a solid move no matter where you live. We hope to see you there. Thank you for tuning in. We got another year of the Living Vision Show coming up. I appreciate you being here. See you, everybody.